everything that we do is based on the stuff that I'm going to present to you today. And what I want you guys to take away is essentially a better understanding of what's happening in your brain and body when you experience distress, and how to find an internal sense of safety to diffuse that distress and just move about your business without having to go through the intellectualization of, why am I distressed? Let me figure this out. Like, let me have to like make a plan and like think this through, because that often just takes a lot of time and makes the distress worse. So we want to be able to stop and recognize safety. And so I'm going to kind of talk about how we do that today. So initially, I just want to share like a story, right? So how does our brain learn what is safe and what is dangerous? I have this restaurant story. I guess I'll present it over here so you can kind of see, but it's the restaurant story itself is not going to be very, it doesn't have any words, it's just pictures. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So the restaurant story, right? So you're a family, let's say you're 3 years old, and you're going to a restaurant with your family. You guys are gonna have like a beautiful Saturday, whatever. You're gonna get some hamburgers, get a Happy Meal, get some French fries, whatever. Having a great time. You're at the restaurant, you're loving your life, it's the best day ever. And so now it's time to go. So your family goes, you get in the car, and you're only 3, but you have maybe like a baby brother or something. And so your mom's buckling everybody in the car seat, and so you are strapped in, and your brother, she's buckling in your brother, trying to get him all secured, and you realize you forgot your unicorn stuffy, right? So you have to go back and get it. You forgot this, it's an emergency, you need to go back and get it. So while your mom's not looking, you get out of the car, and you go back into the restaurant, and so your mom doesn't see you leave, so she thinks you're already in the car, so then she gets in the car and starts to drive away. Meanwhile, you're in the restaurant, you're 3 years old, you're just grabbing your unicorn stuffy, you think everything's fine. And then you look out the window and you see that your parents are leaving you, right? Now you're being abandoned at this restaurant. You can't make it on the streets. You're 3, right? So like this is a problem. This is a life and death situation. And so what your brain is gonna do is it's gonna take an inventory of every single thing that you see, every single thing that you hear, every single thing that you smell, every single thing that you taste, and every single thing that you touch. It's gonna take an inventory of all of those pieces of information, and it's gonna file those pieces of information individually as dangerous, because there's no way for you to know what part of this caused the danger. Like, you don't know why you're in danger right now, but it could be because these tables are red. So I'm gonna make sure that red tables tell me that there's danger present, right? So my brain is gonna catalog all of this information. Every single thing that's happening around me is going to teach me next time that if I'm in a situation similar to this, I will never let that happen again, right? So I'm gonna be alert, I'm gonna be ready, I'm gonna be prepared, I'm gonna make sure that I never get abandoned ever again. So you're only 3 years old. And this is a process that's happening, and it takes about 15 seconds, right? So then your mom realizes that you're not in the car, she runs back in, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I love you so much, you scared me. Now she's like mad and also happy, and like it's really confusing, and you don't know what happened. And then she maybe says to you, don't ever do that again, don't ever scare me like that, you can't leave the car after I've already put you in, right? So now you're like, oh, okay, I probably did something wrong, right? So like now that danger is escalating, because not only did I get abandoned, now I made my mom mad. So now she might abandon me again, right? Because like I did something wrong, and that's not okay. So I'm like learning all this stuff. Okay, so now I'm clocking my mom's facial expressions, her tone of voice. I'm looking at like maybe even what she's wearing, or like how she's touching me, like if she's grabbing my arms, right? So I'm feeling that. All of this, I'm clocking that as these are indicators of possible danger. So that is stored in my brain, that data, forever. And now, let's say the situation has passed, everything's fine, nothing's ever happened like that again. But you start to become, I don't know, maybe you're like 8, right? And you're like, you know, I don't really like the smell of meat. Every time I smell meat, it's just gross. You know what? I'm a vegetarian. So now you're a vegetarian, right? Because like meat's gross. You don't know why you're a vegetarian, you just think meat's gross, so you're a vegetarian, it's fine. That's not clinically significant distress. That's a personality trait that developed out of our experience, because we learn from our experience and that shapes who we are. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's not pathology, that's just life. So you're a vegetarian, and then a couple years later, you're 12. And you start to notice that you don't like to go to restaurants. Restaurants are just like too much. They overwhelm you. Every time you walk into a restaurant, you just feel like chaotic. And you're like, ugh, like, I don't know, I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go in, like, I can't eat out. I just don't like to eat out, right? So now, it's kind of like interfering with your life, right? Like your friends wanna go hang out, they wanna go to the movie, they wanna go, get some burgers, and you're like, I just can't, right? I can't, it makes me overwhelmed, like I don't like it. So then, now you're starting to feel like kind of ostracized, maybe you're a little bit of an outcast now because you're left out. So that's increasing your danger sense, right? So it's like validating itself, because now, because I don't like to go to restaurants, my friends don't want to hang out with me anymore, so now I'm starting to feel lonely and isolated, and that makes me feel scared. And as humans, like, we can't just be alone, otherwise there would be no more humans. So that's like biologically not okay. We have to figure out how to connect with people. And so now this danger is like validating itself. And so I'm like, I have social anxiety. I just have social anxiety. People are just, I don't know. I just don't like people. I don't want to be around people. So now I'm like isolating. Now I'm depressed. I have social anxiety. So I have all these issues. And my mom's like, I don't know what's wrong with you, right? Like, you've had a great life. You're fine. Like, what are you even talking about? You have nothing to be anxious about. You have nothing to be worried about. You have nothing to be sad about. Well, now my mom's mad again. So this is revalidating, right? So now I'm like validating the danger that is coming from all of this experience. So my brain is saying, yeah, I was right. This is all dangerous. Meanwhile, your whole life is like passing by. You're just stressed. You're more isolated and alone and like feeling just like really crummy. And you have no idea why. And everybody's like, you're like, what is wrong? Like, that's just weird. That's so weird that you don't like this. That's so weird that so now you're being like labeled and blamed and shamed, right? And so all of that is because you spent 15 seconds by yourself in a restaurant getting your unicorn, and nobody even remembers this story. Nobody's ever told it to you before. You've never heard this story. You've never seen a picture. Your family never spoke about it again. But this is physiologically a part of your nervous system now. And so you just are anxious for no reason. And so what this person is gonna do is they're probably gonna go to therapy, and they're probably gonna have all these things, and they might get on medication, and they might just like think there's something wrong with them forever. Or if someone were in my therapy, I would say to them, well, probably your nervous system thinks something about this is dangerous. So let's relearn that information. So the basic